the Quran gives us a little test to see if it's the Word of God.
Quite
And
damaging test, incriminating.
the test itself shows that Islam is not true.
100%.
And then it goes on to fail the test. What are we talking about here, Sam?
Chapter 4, verse 82 of the Quran gives the following test, and it's inviting the disbelievers to prove that the Quran is not from Allah. And notice the test. Chapter 4, verse 82. Then do they not reflect upon the Quran with care? If it had been from any other than Allah, now notice, had it been from any other than God, Allah, they would have found within it much discrepancies or contradictions. However you want to translate that word. So did you catch it? Here's the test to prove whether the Quran is from Allah or not. If it wasn't from Allah, you would find much contradictions within its pages. Well, number one, notice it says that you'll find much contradictions. Now, why much? Why not some? Why not few? Why it has to be many? So is this implying?
God can make some mistakes, right? He can have some contradictions, but not a lot, right? So if you can find some, well, it's still the Word of God. But if you find a lot, then you'll know that there's
So what, you find two mistakes, David? The Quran didn't say that Allah won't make a few mistakes. He won't make many mistakes. So that's the first problem right there.
Now,
right?
if we took this seriously, if you don't find much contradiction in a book, much discrepancy, much error in a book, it has to be the Word of God. What would this do?
Well, that's the second problem. That means every and all math books and any and all books on, let's say, science that are based on scientific facts, they too would have to be from Allah. Because notice it says that a book that's not from Allah will contain much contradiction. Implication, any and all books that do not have much contradiction must come from Allah.
So I could write a book right now, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, and so on, and contains, and just write certain things that are true by definition. A bachelor is a married man. A square has 4 right angles. Bachelor's an unmarried man. Things like that, right? I could write a book containing things like that, and it would have to be the Word of God, right? I would be a prophet.
100%, according to this logic of this passage. This passage is saying that a book that's not from God will contain much contradiction. In fact, you could even have 1 or 2 mistakes and still qualify to be the Word of God, because it says much contradiction, right? So you even see the very formulation of the passage is proof that it does not come from God. The very formulation of the passage. Now, what about the charge that we'll find much contradiction? Do we? Well, again, we don't have the time to delve into all the contradictions. On our website, answeringislam.org, we have over 100 contradictions listed. And not just listed, we also interact with the best that the Muslim side has to offer to try to harmonize these contradictions. And you decide whether they do a good job or not. Now, I can show you real quickly one example, because time is fleeting. The shape of the earth according to the Quran. According to the Quran, chapter 88, verse 20, the earth is flat. Here it is. Chapter 88, verse 20. I'm using the N.J. Dawood translation. Now the earth, how it was made flat. The earth was made flat. T.B. Irving, a convert to Islam, he translated as, nor even how the earth has been flattened. Flattened. Now let me read what Tafsir Jalalain say. The two Jalals, how do they interpret 88:20? Do they refer to the land itself or the structure of the earth as a sphere? We know it's a spherical, but let's say how they interpret it. And the earth, how it was laid out flat, and thus infer from this the power of God, exalted be He, and His oneness. The commencing with the mention of camels is because they are closer in contact with it, meaning the earth, than any other animal. As for His words, sutihat, meaning flattened, sutahat, laid out flat, this on a literal reading suggests that the earth is flat, which is the opinion of most of the scholars of Sharia, revealed law, and not a sphere. So they knew at their time it was a sphere. But it's not a sphere as the astronomers would have it, even if the latter does not contradict any pillars of the law.
So think about what he just said, because this is reminiscent of what Abu Qatada said. Abu Qatada said, this is what stars are for. Stars are missiles that God used to shoot demons. If you try and think of anything else, you're not going to do it, because this is what Allah has revealed. And what do we have here? One of Islam's greatest commentators, Jalalain, don't agree with the astronomers who tell you that the earth is spherical in shape. We know from the Quran, because Allah has revealed it, that the earth is flat. And if you go through what Muhammad and the Quran declare about the structure of the universe, You could not invent something this silly and absurd if you tried. You couldn't invent something like this if you if you sat back and thought, you know, I want to invent the most ridiculous universe I could come up with. You could not invent something sillier than what you find in the Muslim sources. And it's not just there. If you go to human anatomy and reproduction, you find it's just as silly. Let me give you one example. Surah 86, verses 5 through 7 explain semen formation to us, right? Now here we have a chance to see if Muhammad is really a prophet, because he's claiming to have supernatural knowledge of human reproduction. He says, "Now let man but think from what he has created. He is created from a drop emitted," so a drop of semen or sperm. "He is created from a drop emitted, proceedings from between the backbone and the ribs." Sam, where is semen formed according to Muhammad in the Quran? Between the backbone and the ribs, right? Right up here, right? Up in this area. Is that right? No, you couldn't be more wrong. And yet Muslims, irony of ironies, will look at this and say, you see, it's the miraculous scientific insights of the Quran that prove it has to be the Word of God.